It is with great delight that I rise in this chamber today to speak in support of the National Reconstruction Fund Corporation Bill 2022, because this bill presents such an enormous range of very exciting opportunities for my electorate of Newcastle. Not just my electorate, but all of us on this side understand the profound impact that this can have in terms of helping shape our nation's future. This bill gives effect to the Albanese Labor Government's commitment to establish a National Reconstruction Fund corporation. The government is providing the corporation with $15 billion to enable it to invest in priority areas in the Australian economy. It is gobsmacking to those of us on this side of the House that we would have an opposition voting against such important investment in critical infrastructure and projects for this nation. Doomsayers, no-sayers, it's not good enough. One of those priority areas for Australia, of course, is investing in renewables and low-emissions technologies. And we have $3 billion already earmarked for this sector. As the world urgently focuses on the need to decarbonise, the transition to renewables and low-emissions technologies will play a critical role in delivering Australia's emissions reduction target of 43% by 2030, from those 2005 levels by 2030, and, of course, the net zero emissions by 2050. This is a commitment we have signed up to, we have pledged to the international arena. But this bill, plus the investment mandate guiding investments, combined, this is going to make sure that the $15 billion fund absolutely will be driving Australia's already natural inclination towards innovation. While the National Reconstruction Fund will be administered at arm's length from government by an independent board, as it should be, the investment mandate will guide the board on making investments in key sectors which leverage Australia's natural and competitive strengths and reflects the government's priorities. A commitment to lower emissions is one such priority, and the National Reconstruction Fund will help accelerate regions like Newcastle and the Hunter in becoming a renewable energy hub, indeed superpower. It could support investment in renewables and low emissions technologies so we can pursue big commercial opportunities that lay ahead, including, in my part of the world, manufacturing of components for wind turbines. We know the critical nature of offshore wind in terms of our future energy, and being able to manufacture those important component parts of wind turbines here in Australia and in towns like Newcastle is a very, very bright part of our future. But it's also opportunities like the production of batteries, new solar technologies, modernising steel and aluminium production, hydrogen electrolyzers, and innovative packaging solutions for waste reduction, all of which are critical areas that my constituents and indeed Australian citizens everywhere care deeply about. The Albanese Labor Government is committed to supporting carbon-intensive regions like Newcastle and the Hunter to take full advantage of the enormous economic and job opportunities that come with renewable energy. With our skilled workforce, abundant resources, our industrial expertise and critical rail and port infrastructure, Newcastle is poised to take full advantage of these new energy industries. Newcastle and our region, we've powered Australia for generations, and the Albanese Labor Government is ensuring that we will continue to do so for many generations to come. The Port of Newcastle, as many know, is the largest coal export hub in the world. But we are looking to the future. And we know that these new energy industries are going to play a vital role in that future. We know that green energy, the industries like green hydrogen, will be critical to the diversification of the economic base of our region. It's a critical part of the diversification plans for the Port of Newcastle. And it's integral to the shaping of our region's future. We've had 10 years of people putting their heads in the sand, pretending this wasn't going to be, that they didn't need to plan. They pretended everything was going to stay the same. They lied to people in Newcastle and the Hunter. They were going to leave us hanging out to dry as the global economy transforms, and leaving regions like mine that are carbon intensive with nothing to plan for in the future. Well, that changes with the election of this government. The Albanese Labor government has already committed $100 million to ensure the green hydrogen readiness of the Port of Newcastle. Just last month, we opened consultation on a proposed offshore wind zone for the Hunter region, an exciting opportunity for Newcastle to ensure large-scale, reliable and clean electricity for decades to come. In fact, community information sessions are happening in Newcastle today, and I encourage Novocastrians everywhere to attend, to hear, to listen from the experts and to have their voices heard. Supporting Newcastle to become a clean energy superpower will create thousands of new jobs while critically diversifying our local economy. It is unimaginable that we have members opposite opposing such investments. The CSIRO predicts that the hydrogen industry alone would account for 7,600 jobs and $11 billion in additional GDP by 2050. Heavy industries moving to carbon-neutral processes like green hydrogen manufactured steel could also create 92,000 new jobs over the next decade. These are not insignificant investments. Australia could create as many as 400,000 new jobs by targeting industry support towards zero and low emissions manufacturing, including renewable energy and battery storage production. And Labor's Powering Australia plan will see 5 out of 6 new energy jobs in regions like mine. The National Reconstruction Fund. So again, I say to members opposite, how dare you seek to stop and prevent such important, critical investments into regions like Newcastle and the Hunter? How dare you? Have you, not only did you pretend nothing was going to happen and were prepared to leave tens of thousands of families hanging out to dry, you now seek to stop. You've been part of the problem and now you seek to prevent being part of the solution. You seek to stop the solutions that we put before the Australian people and now the Australian Parliament. It is unacceptable, and I implore all thinking individuals on that as opposition benches to give very careful consideration to your votes. You say you are a party that issues free votes. Let's see how many exercise that freedom when it comes to the crunch. The National Reconstruction is the first step in Labor's plan to rebuild Australia's industrial base, and we want Australia to be a country that makes things again. It is that simple. In November last year, Minister for Industry and Science, the Honourable Ed Husic, addressed the National Press Club and he said, "We import the bulk of what we need across sectors, and yet the signs are that we can take a different path. We have the smallest manufacturing industry relative to domestic purchases of any OECD country, and we have slipped in economic complexity from a modest 55 in 1995 to 91st in the world in 2020. The Albanese Labor government was elected on a mandate to drive the transformation of Australian industry and revive our ability to make world-class products here in Australia again. We saw through the pandemic how those global supply chains were under huge pressure, and products that we expected to be able to access were very hard, if not impossible, to obtain. We need to revitalise manufacturing after years of neglect under the coalition government. Those opposite had 9 years and 9 industry ministers in those 9 years, but left Australia's manufacturing industry in tatters. And they have again shown that they are not on the side of Australian manufacturers. Our focus is on rebuilding Australian manufacturing industry for Australians. With Newcastle's strong background in manufacturing, the National Reconstruction Fund brings enormous potential for our region. Newcastle is ready to take up that challenge. Our region, taking in Lake Macquarie and the Hunter Valley, is the lead employer of manufacturing in regional New South Wales. Manufacturing is Newcastle's largest output generator sector, supporting an estimated annual output of $5.760 billion. It generates an estimated $3.130 billion in regional exports. And Newcastle's manufacturing sector spends an estimated $3.492 billion on regional imports, more than any other sector. Yet despite this, right now Australia ranks dead last among the OECD countries in manufacturing self-sufficiency. This is untenable. The National Reconstruction Fund provides a crucial financing vehicle to specifically drive investments in projects that will build prosperity, broaden our industrial base and boost regional economic development. The NRF has been very welcomed by the Hunter Jobs Alliance, a regionally based alliance comprising of 9 unions and 4 community environment groups. You know, not two camps that necessarily sit together too often, but they together understand fully the benefits that come to regions like ours from the National Reconstruction Fund. And in response to the National Reconstruction Fund consultation paper, Hunter workers said, "We strongly support the NRF as essential to address investment gaps that are constraining manufacturing opportunities, including the Hunter and other regions. This is a critical national investment that must be well designed as a durable program for the long term. We commend the Australian Government on the initiative and on the rapid development of the NRF program to date." That's what Hunter workers have got to say. Australia's know-how, our scientists and our innovators are among the best in the world. Photovoltaic technology, solar cells, were invented here. But today, 87% of the world's cells are made in one country. And it's not Australia. And in the next 3 years, that number will be 94%. If we invent it here, we should make it here. That is Labor's proposition to the Australian people. Absolutely. Manufacturing matters because it creates full-time, meaningful work and secure jobs. The $15 billion in capital provided through the NRF will support projects that create secure, well-paid jobs, drive regional development and invest in our national sovereignty, our sovereign capability, broadening and diversifying Australia's economy. These are all good things, Deputy Speaker. How anyone would vote against them is unfathomable. The National Reconstruction Fund, through the National Reconstruction Fund, Labor will partner with business to unlock further potential private investment of more than $30 billion. And the NRFC will strategically invest in high value-adding projects in priority areas with a strong regional presence. This means in areas like resources, agriculture, defence and renewables. It's anticipated that this will drive scale and growth, creating higher value jobs in regions. Investments, including those targeting emerging opportunities, will help regional areas diversify their economies and help create workforce opportunities. This investment will play to the strengths of Newcastle and the Hunter region, supporting new and emerging industries, transitioning existing industries to net zero emissions, and making it easier to commercialise innovation and technology. We are great at all these things. People need support now, however. 10 years of neglect. We need to invest. We need to remedy that. Our future is looking bright indeed for Newcastle under this government.